Hello, Cardinals, and welcome to our next installment of Beloved. To go back to the original hunger was impossible. Luckily for Denver, looking was food enough to last. But to be looked at in turn was beyond appetite. It was breaking through her own skin to a place where hunger hadn't been discovered. It didn't have to happen often because Beloved seldom looked right at her, or when she did, Denver could tell that her own face was just the place those eyes stopped, while the mind behind it walked on. But sometimes, at moments Denver could neither anticipate nor create, Beloved rested cheek on knuckles and looked at Denver with attention. It was lovely. Not to be stared at, not seen, but being pulled into view by the interested, uncritical eyes of the other. Having her hair examined as a part of herself, not as material or a style. Having her lips, nose, chin caressed as they might be if she were a moss rose a gardener paused to admire. Denver's skin dissolved under that gaze and became soft and bright like the lisle dress that had its arm around her mother's waist. She floated near, but outside her own body, feeling vague and intense at the same time, needing nothing, being what there was. At such times, it seemed to be Beloved who needed something, wanted something. Deep down in her wide black eyes, back behind the expressionlessness, was a palm held out for a penny which Denver would gladly give her, if only she knew how or knew enough about her, a knowledge not to be had by the answers to the questions Setha occasionally put to her. You disremember everything? I never knew my mother neither, but I saw her a couple times. Did you never see yours? What kind of whites was they? You don't remember none? Beloved, scratching the back of her hand, would say she remembered a woman who was hers, and she remembered being snatched away from her. Other than that, the clearest memory she had, and the one she repeated, was the bridge. Standing on the bridge looking down, and she knew one white man. Setha found that remarkable, and more evidence to support her conclusions, which she confided in Denver. Where'd you get the dress, them shoes? Beloved said she took them. From who? Silence and a faster scratching of her hand. She didn't know. She saw them, and she just took them. Uh-huh, said Setha, and told Denver that she believed Beloved had been locked up by some white man for his own purposes and never let out the door. That she must have escaped to a bridge or someplace and rinsed the rest out of her mind. Something like that happened to Ella, except it was two men, a father and a son, and Ella remembered every bit of it. For more than a year they kept her locked in a room for themselves. You couldn't think up, Ella had said, what them two done to me. Setha thought it explained Beloved's behavior around Paul D., whom she hated so. Denver never believed nor commented on Setha's speculations and lowered her eyes. She lowered her eyes and never said a word about the cold house. She was certain that Beloved was the white dress that had knelt with her mother in the keeping room, the true-to-life presence of the baby that had kept her company most of her life. And to be looked at by her, however briefly, kept her grateful for the rest of the time when she was merely the looker. Besides, she had her own set of questions which had nothing to do with the past. The present alone interested Denver, but she was careful to appear uninquisitive about the things that she was dying to ask Beloved. For if she pressed too hard, she might lose the penny that the held-out palm wanted, and lose, therefore, the place beyond appetite. It was better to feast, to have permission to be the looker, because the old hunger, the before-beloved hunger that drove her into the boxwood and Cologne for just a taste of life, to feel it bumpy and not flat, was out of the question. Looking kept it at bay. So she did not ask Beloved how she knew about the earrings, the night walks to the cold house, or the tip of the things she saw when Beloved lay down or came undone in her sleep. The look, when it came when Denver had been careful, had explained things, or participated in things, or told stories to keep her occupied when Setha was at the restaurant. No given chore was enough to put out the licking fire that seemed always to burn in her. Not when they wrung out sheets so tight the rinse water ran back up their arms. Not when they shoveled snow from the path to the outhouse, or broke 3 inches of ice from the rain barrel. Scoured and boiled last summer's canning jars, packed mud into the cracks of the hen house, and warmed the chicks with their skirts. All the while, Denver was obliged to talk about what they were doing, the how and why of it, about people Denver knew once or had seen, giving them more life than life had. The sweet-smelling white woman who brought her oranges and cologne and good wool skirts. Lady Jones, who taught them songs to spell and count by. A beautiful boy as smart as she was with a birthmark like a nickel on his cheek. A white preacher who prayed for their souls while Setha peeled potatoes and Grandma Baby sucked air. And she told her about Howard and Bugler, the parts of the bed that belonged to each, the top reserved for herself. That before she transferred to Baby Suggs's bed, she never knew them to sleep without holding hands. She described them to Beloved slowly, to keep her attention, dwelling on their habits, the games they taught her, and not the fright that drove them increasingly out of the house, anywhere, and finally far away. This day, they're outside. It's cold, and the snow is hard as packed dirt. Denver has finished singing the counting song Lady Jones taught her students. Beloved is holding her arms steady while Denver unclasps frozen underwear and towels from the line. One by one, she lays them in Beloved's arms until the pile, like a huge deck of cards, reaches her chin. The rest, aprons and brown stockings, Denver carries herself. Made giddy by the cold, they return to the house. The clothes will thaw slowly to a dampness perfect for the pressing iron, which will make them smell like hot rain. Dancing around the room with Setha's apron, Beloved wants to know if there are flowers in the dark. Denver adds sticks to the stove fire and assures her that there are. Twirling, her face framed by the neckband, her waist in the apron strings embrace, she says she's thirsty. Denver suggests warming up some cider, while her mind races to something she might do or say to interest and entertain the dancer. Denver's a strategist now, and has to keep Beloved by her side from the minute Setha leaves for work until the hour of her return when Beloved begins to hover at the window, and then work her way out the door, down the steps, and near the road. Plotting has changed Denver markedly. Where once she was indolent, resentful of every task, now she's spry, executing, even extending the assignment Setha leaves for them, all to be able to say, "We got to," and "Ma'am said for us to." Otherwise, Beloved gets private and dreamy, or quiet and sullen, and Denver's chances of being looked at by her go down to nothing. She has no control over the evenings. When her mother is anywhere around, Beloved has eyes only for Setha. At night, in bed, anything might happen. She might want to be told a story in the dark when Denver can't see her. Or she might get up and go into the cold house where Paul D has begun to sleep. Or she might cry, silently. She might even sleep like a brick, her breath sugary from fingerfuls of molasses or sand cookie crumbs. Denver will turn toward her then, and if Beloved faces her, she'll inhale deeply the sweet air from her mouth. If not, she'll have to lean up and over her, every once in a while, to catch a sniff. For everything is better than the original hunger, the time when, after a year of wonderful little I sentences rolling out like pie dough and the company of other children, there was no sound coming through. Anything is better than silence when she answered to hands gesturing and was indifferent to the movement of lips. When she saw every little thing and colors leaped smoldering into view, she will forego most of the violence of sunsets, stars as fat as dinner plates, and all the blood of autumn, and settle for the palest yellow if it comes from her Beloved. The cider jug is heavy, but it always is, even when empty. Denver can carry it easily, yet she asks Beloved to help her. It is in the cold house next to the molasses and 6 pounds of cheddar hard as a bone. A pallet is in the middle of the floor, covered with newspaper and a blanket at the foot. It's been slept on for almost a month, even though snow has come and with it serious winter. It is noon, quite light outside. Inside it's not. A few cuts of sun break through the roof and walls, but once there, they're too weak to shift for themselves. Darkness is stronger and swallows them like minnows. The door bangs shut, and Denver can't tell where Beloved is standing. "Where are you?" she whispers in a laughing sort of way. "Here," says Beloved. "Where?" "Come find me," says Beloved. Denver stretches out her right arm and takes a step or two. She trips and falls down onto the pallet, and newspaper crackles under her weight. She laughs again. Ah, shoot, beloved? No one answers. Denver waves her arms and squinches her eyes to separate the shadows of potato sacks, a lard can, and a side of smoked pork from the one that might be human. Stop fooling, she says, and looks up towards the light to check and make sure that this is still the cold house and not something going on in her sleep. The minnows of light still swim there, and you can't make it down to where she is. You the one thirsty. You want cider or don't you? Denver's voice is mildly accusatory. Mildly. She doesn't want to offend, and she doesn't want to betray the panic that's creeping over her like hairs. There's no sight or sound of beloved. Denver struggles to her feet amid the crackling newspaper. Holding her palm out, she moves slowly towards the door. There's no latch or knob, just a loop of wire to catch a nail. She pushes the door open. Cold sunlight displaces the dark. The room is just as it was when they entered, except beloved's not there. There's no point in looking further, for everything in the place can be seen at first sight. Denver looks anyways because the loss is ungovernable. She steps back into the shed, allowing the door to close quickly behind her. Darkness or not, she moves rapidly around, reaching, touching, cobwebs, cheese, slanting shelves, the pallet interfering with each step. If she stumbles, she's not aware of it because she does not know where her body stops, which part of her is an arm, a foot, or a knee. She feels like an ice cake torn away from a solid surface of a stream, floating on darkness, thick and crashing against the edges of things around it, breakable, meltable, cold. It's hard to breathe, and even if there was light, she wouldn't be able to see anything because she's crying. Just as she thought it might happen, it has. Easy as walking into a room. A magical appearance on a stump, the face wiped out by sunlight, and a magical disappearance in a shed, eaten alive by the dark. Don't, she's saying between tough swallows, don't go back. This is worse than when Paul D came to 124, and she cried helplessly into the stove. This is worse. Then it was for herself. Now she's crying because she has no self. Death is a skipped meal compared to this. She can feel her thickness thinning, dissolving into nothing. She grabs the hair at her temples to get enough to uproot it and halt the melting for a while. Teeth clamped shut, Denver breaks her sobs. She doesn't move to open the door because there's no world out there. She decides to stay in the cold house and let the dark swallow her like the minnows of light above. She won't put up with another one leaving, another trick. Waking up to find one brother and then another not at the bottom of the bed, his foot jabbing her spine. Sitting at the table eating turnips and saving the liquor for her grandmother to drink. Her mother's hand on the keeping room door and her voice saying, Baby Suggs is gone, Denver. And when she got around to worrying about what would be the case if Setha died or Paul D took her away, a dream comes true just to leave her on a pile of newspaper in the dark. No footfalls announce her, but there she is, standing where before there was nobody when Denver looked, and smiling. Denver grabs the hem of Beloved's skirts. I thought you left me. I thought you went back. Beloved smiles. I don't want that place. This is a place I am. She sits down on the pallet and, laughing, lies back, looking at the crack lights above. Surreptitiously, Denver pinches a piece of Beloved's skirt between her fingers and holds on. A good thing she does, because suddenly Beloved sits up. What is it? asks Denver. Look, she points to the sunlit cracks. What? I don't see nothing. Denver follows the pointing finger. Beloved drops her hand. I'm like this. Denver watches as Beloved bends over, curls up, and rocks. Her eyes go to no place. Her moaning is so small, Denver can hardly hear it. You all right, Beloved? Beloved focuses her eyes. Over there, her face. Denver looks where Beloved's eyes go, and there's nothing but darkness there. Whose face? Who is it? Me. It's me. And she's smiling again.